today we are joined by Clemson head baseball coach Erik Bakich. Thank you for joining the show today, Coach.
Hey, Drew, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, starting off, I'm going to hit you with a very important question. Last season, when we spoke prior to the season, you were struggling to work with Nike to get those wide stripes on the Clemson pants, and I couldn't help but notice Saturday when I was out at practice, you and Coach Leggett had a bit of a wider stripe on your pants. Is that something we might see with the team this year?
I wish I'll be on it. I'll stay on it. Been on it for a year and a half. Luckily Coach Leggett's got a bunch of old pairs of pants in his garage. So he brought those in. I love the thick stripe. That's Clemson baseball. It's a thick stripe pant. But Nike, they don't make the thick stripe pant anymore. So we've got to go through just listening to the process that it would require to get a seamstress to have to deconstruct the pant and then put the wire, it's just a mess. So, but we're going to find a way, Drew. We are just going to find a way. It won't be this year, but there is going to be a time where that thick stripe is coming back to Clemson baseball.
One of these days. I did notice that on Twitter today, some pictures may have gotten leaked of maybe some possible uniform changes. I guess Clemson might have some fans might have something to look forward to opening day with a couple uniform modifications.
Maybe, yeah. Well, of course, we went away from that weird font that had the big C and the big N. We didn't wear that last year. So we've got, the idea was to get the Tigers script in white, purple, and orange. That Tigers script had only been in white. And then everything else was Clemson. So the Clemson script and the Tigers script, we'll continue to wear that, but we've got our three main colors in each, and then we've got a military appreciation top as well that we'll bust out this year. So yeah, instead of that digi camo that was back in the the early 90s, we're going a little more just more basic. But no, we're excited. Uniform, we'll just need to play a certain way in the uniform. The uniform will look good.
Look good, play good. So on to actual baseball. When you spoke with the media a couple weeks back, you referenced a quote massive hunger that this team had after the way that last season ended. What did that massive hunger look like this offseason, and how has it translated to the team's growth so far this preseason?
Well, they've just come out on a mission, and I'm not trying to coach speak here in a bunch of metaphors, but it's just a group that I haven't had to coach attitude and effort. And that's tough when you have to do that as a coach. And this group is, they've been very self-motivated. They've operated with a high level of discipline. But it's translated to everything they do. It's, you've heard about we shattered the academic record, which, some people say, what's that got to do with baseball? Well, it has to do with a winning mindset of how you do anything is how you do everything. And it's about wanting to be great in all areas of your life. And that's just a microcosm of how these guys go about it day in and day out, whether it's the weight room, whether it's training, whether it's academics, whether it's community service. This is a group that led Power 5 college baseball and community service. And, they do everything at a very high level. So it gives us a lot of cautious optimism going into the season that they were very capable of achieving big things this year. We have our goals set at the highest level possible, but we're going to have to earn it because it's the teams that get hot at the end that end up making it, but you got to earn that right to get hot at the end. So we just kind of have adopted this mindset of, we're going to be the number one ranked team at getting better. We're going to be the best at getting better. And these guys have done that. They've done that with that humility and hunger since we started in August. And they attacked their academics and they shattered a record, and hoping they're going to shatter some records on the baseball field too.
You reference records and rankings on a national scale. There's a lot of expectation with this team in the preseason polls, and I know that you may not necessarily focus on that, but entering year two after losing guys like Grice, Engel, Ammons, Blackwell to the draft, and Amick in the transfer portal, what does this team have to do to take a step forward and get back to the College World Series in Omaha?
Well, I mean, we're not going to replace the production of Caden Grice. I mean, I don't know if someone's going to step in and, well, nobody's going to hit 18 home runs and be a weekend starter for us at the same time, right? Caden Grice is just a unicorn of a type of play. He's the best two-way player I've ever seen, that I've personally played with or coached. He's just very gifted at this sport. So you don't replace that production. I don't know if you replace Cooper Engel in what he just the guy had the ability to play all 9 positions on the field. I don't know if we have anyone that can do that. So there's just certain aspects that you don't necessarily replace those people. You just recreate them in other ways. So someone, couple of new guys might hit 10 home runs and 8 home runs and get that home run production back that Grice had. But it all comes down to just being able to finish and execute. I mean, we had the game won in the regional until we didn't, and that winner's bracket game was so huge. It's such a pivotal game, the way regional formats are constructed. And that was, that was just it's a tough game, and we to have a 2-run lead with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the bottom of the ninth, and then have bases loaded, nobody out, or in the top of the ninth, and then have bases loaded, nobody out in the bottom of the 10th, and not pull it off. That was a tough one, but it just wasn't our time. And sometimes that's the way it goes. The game doesn't reward you on your clock. It happens on its clock, and you just have to um, you just have to stay steady with this approach of, we're going to work as hard as we possibly can every single day, get better every single day, and just know that if we do all that and we get rewarded with getting hot at the right time and earning our way as we go, that's otherwise there really is. I mean, what I could answer that with pitching and defense and timely hitting, but it's really, it's a combination of so many things. But right now, where we are right now and before the season has started, it's all the things leading up, and then just keeping that target on. Let's just keep getting better as the season goes. And with the idea that we'll be playing our best baseball at the end of the season.
And I definitely think you could say that happened with this team last year. Improvement throughout the season. We referenced Grice, but in his impact on the mound and both at the plate, has there been a pitcher that's kind of stood out to you this offseason that you think can step into that Friday role and help this team and set the tone for a weekend series?
Yeah, I do. I actually think we have a luxury of having quite a bit of starter depth this year. Obviously, Austin Gordon was the Team USA invitee, and he'll be out there. I don't know if he'll be out there on Friday, but Tristan Smith was a Cape Cod All-Star, and he's certainly capable. And we've got plenty of guys who have started games, at Clemson in the past. Guys like Billy Barlow and Joe Allen, and we've got some freshmen that are very talented as well. And so we're going to have to figure it out. I think, right now going into it, it looks like all the guys we've mentioned are kind of the leading candidates for it. But we're also going to wait and see how this weekend goes. This will be kind of our dress rehearsal, of the opening act. And we're going to try to treat it like a grand opening before opening day. So everything that happens this weekend will be, something we've walked through, whether it be something as simple as walkout music, or the music and the playing in the stadium, to, playing 9-inning games, 3 9-inning games this weekend, which we haven't done yet because we just haven't been built up to do that. So even if, we announce our rotation, which we will probably the middle of next week, it's still, nobody's built up to go 6, 7 innings. It'll be, guys will be on, they'll be on pitch counts of somewhere between 50 and, I don't know, 80 pitches. And um, we have the depth that we don't, it's a luxury item for us this year. We don't need somebody to go 7 innings. Seems like we've got a lot of guys that are very capable, not only of starting, but we've got a lot of guys on the back end too. That's super helpful. Guys who have been there and been in high leverage situations before, like Nick Clayton and Rob Hughes and Reed Garris, and then getting a transfer like Lucas Malstat. That's a big one as well. Just guys who have proven at the back end of a game.
And you reference some of those transfers, and you bring in some freshmen this class as well. Who can we expect to see make an impact early this year with some of the newcomers?
Um, Quite a few. I mean, the two that stick out from a position player standpoint are Jaron Purify and Devin Parks. They are just explosive playmakers. I mean, just electric type players. They'll be household names at Clemson, maybe by the end of the year, but certainly they've got, both have a very bright future. And then we brought in like 7 pitchers, and there'll probably be 3 of them that are maybe a little bit ahead in terms of guys who um, may get a little more innings just because of how they've been built up as starters. Guys like Aiden Canuck and Justin Legurnick and Drew Titsworth. And then we've got a few others too that Jacob McGovern and Jackson Cole. Jacob McGovern led the state in strikeouts, and he's just funky enough, got some deception. He'll help us in relief. And then a couple of guys, couple of other righties, Chance Fitzgerald and Luke Brown, very capable as well. So, we really, really like the depth. And then we brought in Matt Marshall, son of Doug Marshall, who played here for Coach Wilhelm, who has the most experience of innings pitched as a starter in his 4 years at Wofford. So he's here as a grad transfer. So he gives us depth as a starter. So we feel really good about the depth of our pitching staff. It's just, it's just got to figure it out, got to put it together. The biggest threat for this team, the number one threat, is going to be the roles that we settle into, and the lack of playing time that's going to provide for other guys, because there's going to be plenty of guys that are good enough to be playing and would play at a lot of other places that just we're just not going to be able to give everyone the playing time maybe that they deserve.
So opening day, you have an opponent coming to town, Xavier, and they won the Big East tournament last season. They were responsible for eliminating Vanderbilt from the tournament last season. Has there been a shift in scheduling tougher opponents earlier in the season? And do you think that will help this team progress throughout the year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this was a schedule that was already put together. Coach Lee and his staff put this schedule together for the non-conference series. But I am in agreement that playing good quality clubs is huge. When we announced next year's schedule, that's the first one that we've been able to schedule, but we've got a unbelievable opening weekend. Not in Clemson, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, I'm in agreement that you play good teams, challenge yourself early. Our conference is hard enough as it is. I mean, we have we just, this region, we in playing South Carolina 3 times, playing Georgia, once. You used to play them twice, but we're just, the new coach that's there, we're just going to play once a year instead of twice a year, but they're awesome. Coastal Carolina's awesome. I mean, everybody's awesome now, and everyone can beat you. There's no hiding players anymore. Everybody's, getting exposure, and every team is out recruiting, and anybody can beat anybody. And the second that any team gets complacent, that's when they learn a tough lesson that day. So Xavier is good enough to beat anybody. And like you referenced, they knocked off Vanderbilt, who's the top program in college baseball of the last decade. And so, so Xavier's good. They're well coached. I know their coach very well. Know that those players from that part of the country very well. We played them at Michigan. They've always been good. They've been good for a long time, and they're going to give us a heck of a challenge. And so, yeah, that philosophy of being battle tested, it's important, and it'll be important for us as we form our identity of what Team 127 is, who we are, and how we're going to respond when we do get these bouts of adversity that happen either throughout the game and we have to overcome it, or if we do have to learn a tough lesson with a loss.
Absolutely. And coach, just one more question before I let you go. I know that you and the staff had the opportunity at the end of a lot of games last year, got to try some of the Cajun Cafe food. What was some of your favorite post game food from the Cajun Cafe last season?
Oh man, that chicken that they do is so good. When I was here 22 years ago, that's when Truck, the late great Truck, he goes by Truck, and I should know his actual name. You might know it. Coach Leggett knows him real well, but he started it, and he was doing cooking the food, and Louisiana man, outstanding guy. But Truck started that, and that's always been one of the coolest traditions of college baseball, and just to see it turn into, just a rowdy atmosphere out there. I wish it was bigger, and we could recruit more people to that Cajun Cafe and just get hostile with an environment out there. But the food is amazing. Shout out to everyone who brings the food out to those grills and shares it with our players and coaches. It's much appreciated, and you can't get better food than that. So hey, Cajun Cafe should be like a 12-month out of the year restaurant. We should construct one right behind right field, have a Cajun Cafe restaurant to serve the Clemson community.
I'm sure a lot of people would go for that, and you can't beat that chicken. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time, and you referenced that Tennessee game at the end of the season last year. The environment at that game is something that we hadn't seen at Doug Kingsmore Stadium in a long time. So, looking forward to many more big time games like that here in the very soon and near future.
Absolutely. Yeah. Coach Leggett, he told me at that game, he said this is the best atmosphere that he had seen. So he was even referencing all of his time here as well. So really appreciate the fans, the way they turned out. It was electric. It was an awesome atmosphere. And that was the one thing that, of course we, wanted to have a good season and wanted to, you know, create that, capture that enthusiasm for Clemson baseball again. But more importantly, just what it does for the community, for the local businesses, for just to ignite, just a fan base, all the kids. I mean, I've got young kids. My kids are 14, 11, and 9. And to see, just their friends and the schools in the community and everyone in the upstate, and be able to experience that and be a part of it. So there would be nothing more than to share the experience of going to Omaha from Doug Kingsmore Stadium with this community. I couldn't think of anything better for this community to experience in the middle of June.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for your time, Coach, and excited to get back out there next week for opening day.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, Drew.
Thank you.